Hello, back again. Welcome to the Bumbling Blogger. Today I am doing Alyce's 26 books she should read that I'm suggesting to her before she turns 26. This is a response to her blog post where she did 25 books through before she's 25. So, if you want to see how she did on that, there's a blog post over on the blog. There's two, obviously the original and obviously the response to it. This is my response to her response to it, so it's a bit complicated, but I have a nice big fat list of 26 books Alice should read before she's 25. Book 1 is You Should See Me in the Crown by Leah Johnson. Not the song by Billie Eilish, the book by Leah Johnson. Alice has been going on about it a lot, so I figure she should read it. Book 2, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Obviously, book about people burning books. Paper burns at that temperature. Yeah, it's I don't know if Alice has read it. I think she hasn't read it. She talked about reading it, but she should definitely read it. Book 3 is the one I have a prop for. Final Empire by Brando Sando, our Lord and Saviour. This was on my 25 books for me to read before I'm 25, and this is like so many people's favourite series, favourite author, really good author. People have compared him to being the next Tolkien. Only time will tell for that, but yeah, be interesting. Number 4 is The House at the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's like you're on about it. It's a very popular book, very, very well known. Middle grade. It's an adult book written in middle grade about a guy who goes to foster houses with magical things. It's interesting. Book 5, World War Z by Max Brooks. Not the father, the comedic writer. So this is not actually a comedy, even though if you knew about Mel Brooks, you'd think it'd be a comedy. It's a fictional oral history recounted after the fictional World War Z with zombies, which is really nice because it's nice little chapters. Oh, I can see it was read a bit, but it has like loads of different. It's like an interview style. I did the audiobook of this, and it's really, really good. Yeah, that's on the list. I don't know what number that was. Number 6, Bone Season. We went to see Samantha Shannon talk for the release of Priory of the Orange Tree. We have this as a hardback and as a paperback. And we recently got the Mask Full. No, we recently got this edition. This like nice hardback of this edition, I think, is the one that matches the other books. Or was it the Mime Order? I have one of them, I think. Oh, this one's not the one I'm thinking of. This one is signed, which is very nice. Oh, I think it was the paperback. I don't know. We recently got a really nice edition of the book. There's an unboxing somewhere where that is, or a book haul. Alice will put that in. Number 7 is Cinder. This is was also on Alice's list, and it's quite interesting because it's androids. Cinderella's an android. Oh yeah, it's by Marissa Meyer. I don't know if I said that, but we have all of them. I think it's one of Alice's it's one of Alice's friends' like all-time favorite series. So she should probably read this, and I'm also quite interested in this. Robots are cool. Androids are cool. Next we have Legend by Marie Lou. Alice says this one. When we moved in together, Alice had these books in a nice shrink wrap. So I was like, oh, get that open. And I thought even if she had them in a nice shrink wrap bound together, I thought she'd read them. Or she'd have at least attempted to read them, because obviously she bought all 3 of them together. Is it 3? I can't see where they normally are. They're normally on our shelf, but obviously I'm filming differently to how Alice films. So yeah, that's a bit confusing. But these do sound really cool. These are dystopian YA books by Marie Lou, who is a really good drawing artist person. Yeah. Next on the list, without having to check the list, I know it's Throne of Glass. This again was on, I think this was on Alice's list. It's a Snow White retelling. She's offered a deal. She's an assassin. She's cool. We read a Kotar. I think that's the acronym. And it put us in a slump. Hopefully, Throne of Glass will be better. But another retelling of a fantasy story. Because there's a lot of them, but, retellings are always good. If they're worthwhile, they're good. Or if they're worthwhile, they're talked about. This is one of the only books that I've read and Alice hasn't read, which I'm surprised at, and that is A Time Traveler's Wife. We'll probably read this and do something special, like a secret project we just haven't started yet. This is about a lady who falls in love with a time traveller, and it's quite sad. It's a good look. It's a chunky boy book, but I would say it's a really good book to read. And this is before I was a reader that I read it, but I read it. So yeah, Alice, you should read this. This is going to be on your list. The next book, which is 11. Yeah, 11 is Hollyborn's Soulmates, which is a book I got for Alice for her 25th birthday? No, 24th birthday. I got it. I bought it online and I sent it to someone who was going to go see her and get it signed. So basically, I bought it, then paid to ship it to someone to go take it to a signing, then ship it back. And I got it for her, and she hasn't read it. Which we love Hollyborn. Hollyborn is one of the best YA British authors out there currently. Hopefully, Alice will read this soon. So yeah, we also own that book somewhere. I couldn't find it for the life of me. Next up is another one of the only books I've ever read, and that's The Lord Lost. This is a nice hardcover of the book. So, I'm not quite sure what's actually in frame these days. So I actually have the paperbacks that I read when they were coming out, because they were one of my best friends' books. And I never actually finished the series, but they're really good, especially for like children's, young, like tween, preteen sort of age group. Really good. Really like Darren Shan. It's about it's fantasy monsters. There's a Lord Lost. There's a werewolf, a witch, and a demon. Book 13 on the list is Skullduggery Pleasant. We recently read the short story, I don't know what it was called, for the World Book Day recently, and Alice has had a proof and I've had a proof for a while. We started buying them in hardback. Again, the same person that recommended Lord Lost to me also recommended this, and some other people have recommended this, and it's really good. Glad we finally actually managed to start reading the books. It's a really nice paperback proof. I think we recently bought all of them on a Amazon daily deal sale thing for the first 10 for 99p each. This is book 14, The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. It's a really good book. There's a TV show as well. It's an alternate history that what if the Germans and Nazis won? Yeah, if the Allies had lost the Second World War. It's dystopian. It's one of my favourite genres of writing, is like the alt history. Or not alt, like alternate historical type dystopians. Like they're always really fun to read, and there's a lot of them. This is also Philip K. Dick writes a lot of good books that I've read and I've liked. This is number 15, I think, or 6. I can't remember what all this is. This is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. Again, we bought, I think on a whim, we bought Dark Dawn because it was signed in Waterstones when we were in there. It looks kind of cool. Didn't know much about it. I hadn't read any J. Kristoff at that time. I don't think Alice had. But this is Nevernight. There's a kind of like traditional tattoo-esque style bars on there with like little cool details like other birds, crosses, nooses, barrels, knives, masks. Really interesting. I don't know anything about it at all. Really interesting. We have all three in nice fancy hardback. They look really nice on the shelves. So next on the list is Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. We own it. We got the really nice fancy Illumicrate editions. I'll link to the unboxing up in the cards, which I think are that side. Yeah, I think they're on that side of the screen. But we have all three of them. I've been really interested in reading it because it's a reimagining, similar to Philip K. Dick's Man in the High Castle, of the mid-century Chinese war with Japan, I think. It's about a conflict between China and Japan. I'm not quite sure which battle it was or which war it's centered around, but it sounds really cool. It's got a lot of hype, which I think it probably deserves, but without reading, wouldn't know. Number 17 is Addie LaRue. I think this is another book that we have in a book box, unless it's somewhere. Oh, I have no idea. It's possibly somewhere on these shelves up here. I don't know if you can see them. The shelves all the way up here, the top ones, hardback. Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. It was one of Alice's most anticipated books last year. Yeah, 2020 I think is when it came out. It was one of her most anticipated books. I don't know why we haven't got around to reading it, but we have. I don't really know anything about it. Alice knows a little bit about it, but it sounds really, really interesting. It's about a lady who travels through. A lady who doesn't age. Something like that. Some sort of timey-wimey shenanigans. Number 18 is Jade City by Fonda Lee. We have a bunch of merch from it from the book boxes. I've been interested in reading it for a little while. It won Dan Green's Best Fantasy Awards for 2020. It just sounds really interesting. Don't know much about it. Don't want to know too much about it, but it just sounds really interesting. Alice, you should read this. If this ever comes up on a thing, Alice, read this one. This one is I'm most excited for. I don't know why I haven't read it myself, but I haven't. Number 19, of course, had to be number 1984 by George Orwell. I don't know if you've read this, Has. Might be a reread. I've recently been rereading it slowly, but it's really good. George Orwell, it's his view on dystopian society. I think it was Ingsoc, and the party's rule is rule. I think it's quite appropriate for current events happening with everything happening in social media and everything, and big tech. I think it's quite interesting. So number 20 is Michael Moorcock's Sleeping Sorceress. This is the first published in the Elric novel series. It's not actually the first chronological one, I don't think, but it's definitely first published, and it's so first published this edition. It literally has no other books by him in it at all. I don't know if you can see that at all, but he has no other books in there. So this is, I've read it and I enjoyed it, but I think Alice should enjoy it. If you haven't read it, it's very similar to The Witcher. Drew some sort of inspiration between the two of them. Number 21 is Wolf by Wolf. Some of you may not know, or you may know, this was the first book ever featured in Illuma Crates, the subscription box service. I've subscribed to them since day one. The same we've subscribed to Curiosity since day one. And Alice, because of this, Alice got Blood for Blood. I don't know if you can see it there. As well, and we told it's really good. Hayley in Bookish Land, I think it's Hayley in Bookish Land, is her name. She really liked it, and it's like another retelling, fantasy, alt history telling about World War II. Germany 1956. Oh yeah, after they won the war. So yeah, it's a good genre, good range of fantasy in that mid-century German, historic battles. Everything. There's a lot to go, a lot of good stuff in there. Number 22 is How to Train Your Dragon. And it's one of Sophia's favourite films. I've only seen the first one. Alice, I think, has seen all three of them. I think Ezra also really likes these films. If you don't know, those are our children. Those are really, really nice. They're very, very young. They're 1 and a half years and 3 and a couple months. 3 and 2 months. So these are really good books, I think. The movie's really good. I've heard some interesting things about them, but they seem really good. I got Alice for Christmas her other series, the Wizard of Once series. I got the 4th book signed somewhere up there. But yeah, dragons are cool. I think this is a 9-book series, and they're quite short. They're short middle grade. It's possibly one of the only middle grade ones on here. How many pages is this? Oh, it does. It's just over 200 pages. So really short. There's a good number of short books on here, and a good number of fat boy books on this list for you, Alice, or anyone else that's interested in reading them. This is number 24. Number 23. Yeah, number 23. The Liver of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin. I put this on here because Alice really likes Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater, and also I'm currently rereading, she's rereading Muse of Nightmare. Dream Thief. No. Stranger Dreamer. And it's a similar sort of thing, I think, to them. Only a little bit into Strange Dreamer, and only a little bit. I didn't read Dream Thieves. But a guy can manipulate reality around him based on what he dreams. Yeah, and he's taken advantage by a scientist. But it's really, really good. Ursula K. Le Guin is one of the OG fantasy writers, especially for the school setting. So it's interesting. I think Alice might enjoy. I think a lot of you guys might enjoy a lot of her sci-fi as well. Number 24, should have been on the list. It's Return the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yeah, one of the original OG fantasy series books by Tolkien. You've read the first two, and you've read The Hobbit. You really like The Hobbit. I feel like it's only right to finish the series. They're very good books. I enjoy them still. They're very slow. The second one's a bit iffy. But yeah, we have a lovely box set of all four of them as well. So I would highly recommend you finish this book sooner rather than later before you forget what's happened. But if any of you know or don't know, ring, magical powers, journeying to get rid of it. Absolute power corrupts us absolutely, pretty much is what that book is saying. Okay, it's the last two books, number 25 and 26. Number 25, I know was definitely on my list for 25, and I've never actually finished reading it. I don't know if you ever done anything with it, but it's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's like one of the original self-help books. Super duper highly recommended. I just noticed my copy has a really bad scratch on it. I don't know if that was when I got it or not. But I've only ever dipped in and out of it. Not really read that much of it. But I'd like to read a lot of it. I think you should read a lot of it. I think everyone should read a lot of it. Over 16 million sold. So it's obviously doing something right there. And the last one, the big, as I've written down on my list, I don't know if you can see, it says That Big Fat Boy Fantasy Book Series. An absolute tome of the Way of Kings. Floppy Woppy by our Lord and Saviour, Brando Sando again. He's twice on this list. He's the only author appearing twice on this list. Yes, he is the only author appearing twice on this list. And this is a single edition, and it's 1,001 pages. The end of the book, end of this first book in the Stormlight Archive series. So you've had this book for a long time. I don't even know where you would have even go to get a single bind up of this big fat boy here, because I think now in the UK they're publishing twos, and they're also the US they're publishing ones, I think, in this sort of size, but the art's not as nice. I really like this art style. I'm not the biggest fan of the newer style they've been going for, but this will absolutely snap your wrist if you're reading this for a long amount of time. Was that done? That is 26 books, Alice, you should read before you turn 26, as recommended by me, as a response to your 25 before 25 review, responding to your 25 books you read before 25. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, you can do better than you did last time on the 25 before 25 list. And also, most of these books I'd want to read or reread, so hopefully I'll try and hold you accountable when it comes to TBR. Hook Duck. So I will let you guys go. Sorry this has been a long one. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And also, if you want to write a list or recommend any of the books from here, I'd highly recommend it. Even the ones I haven't read, they're probably going to be fun, so you can subscribe to find out which ones we do and don't read. And in a year, I'll probably do a response to this, or Alice will do a response to this. I think you should do a response to this, Alice, where you review my video and you see how many you have and haven't read. Alright, so peace out and bye. See you later. Oh, it's got some mail. My phone keeps locking, which is really frustrating.